Thank you so much for that kind introduction, Julie, and for asking me to speak today. And like you said, it takes a village, so I just want to shout out fully a third of the people here, um, Xiaochuan, for helping me with all of the technical aspects and really thinking through the textbook, the ebook when I was in my beginning phases, but also support along the way always. Um, my current department chair, Lisa Anderson, who has always supported this project, and then of course ASSERT and Julie, you representing ASSERT here, um, for giving me the funding too. I started this project about 10 years ago, as Julie mentioned, and it was with the help of a FIT grant that my department chair again encouraged me to apply for. And so it's a project that has evolved over time. And you know, Julie, you were saying at the beginning, it's not for your one-off course. This textbook has been used consistently over the last decade in a course in my department that most, not all, but most majors and minors took in the third year. But I will also say that it is morphing right now into something that I'm taking chapters from, I'm taking the workbook from. I'm able to also take apart in ways that make sense and use in a course that is new to me that I'm teaching this semester on the topic of German travel for our majors and minors. So I would say it's this living thing that keeps developing and shifting, shape shifting. So none of this work is ever lost. I would offer that too. So is it possible for me to share my screen? Okay, great. Give me just a moment here. So I thought I would start by showing you a page from the ebook. On the left side, I use iBooks Author, which is transitioning to Pages. We can talk more about that later if you'd like. But really, one of the things that drew me to the ebook format are the unique capabilities of an ebook. Different than just a regular paper textbook, and nothing against those. You can click on links, you can embed videos, you can embed self-scoring quizzes. You can link out, and so there are not copyright issues also, which I learned from, I think Sarah Ward is here, our librarians who are fantastic and have been so helpful also in all of the OER discussions. So this is an example of something I embedded in the e-textbook. It's a telenovela that my students watch. It is made for language learners at their level, and I knew this was the kind of thing they were Googling and finding anyway, and I wanted to really embed it not just in the textbook but in the course in ways that made sense for our course and for our students. So I'll just show you this. It's a little flashy. So it loads directly from the ebook, and the students start watching a telenovela called Jojo is Looking for Happiness. Yeah. And then on the other side, and yes, this is all in German, so that's fine, you're not understanding it, but this is my introduction to it. This is the ways I have them work with it as partners. We go on to discuss other telenovelas they may know, and they have various exercises that go along with this. So I'm going to stop sharing that for a moment, but I just thought it would be nice for you to get right away an idea of the capabilities of the ebook format. So one of my motivators in doing this was to captivate students, to give them the media and the kinds of text understood very broadly, websites, telenovelas, songs. I wanted to give that to them in one place. Again, I know they're Googling for it. They would often ask me, what music video can I watch? Where can I find a movie? That sort of thing. And again, I didn't want to just leave them on their own with that. I wanted to incorporate it into the course in a way that would make sense. As Julie mentioned before, this was also, since I've been doing this project for so long, it has gone through the phases of OER and zero-cost course ideas, and that was also very important to me. When I did my research to see what else was out there for students at this level, it was A, paltry, B, not really great for hunter students who, as we all know, are very different than a lot of students at sort of traditional college campuses, right? Um, and it was, they were expensive. What I did find was expensive. So for me, part of the zero cost was also the equity and wanting to provide students who I know so many of my students are working part, if not full time, and going to school, that it just wasn't going to be another burden, another thing that they had to think about. How am I going to afford the textbook for this course? So cost reduction or zero cost was definitely playing a role, as was equity and diversity. As Julie mentioned, I was an assessment fellow last year, and my project was to go back through and review my entire ebook. And I made pages and pages of notes so I can use a different image there. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Or let's find a different link here. You know, there are many things I could say about that, but the part that relates to this being an ebook is that it is so easy to update. It is so easy to change. And I already have the structure, I have the framework of the way I've laid out my textbook, and then I want to swap out a news article, no problem. I want to change a video, no problem. I want to use a different telenovela, no problem. So I think that ease of updating and revising is really a crucial and positive benefit. Because, we're all always learning, right? And when we know better, we do better. And so this is a way to then implement that pretty quickly and easily. Let me see. There were a few more things I wanted to say about why I chose an ebook and why I think it is a great format. Two other things are that I wanted to have everything in one place. Blackboard can be that one place, but I sometimes find it a bit unwieldy. And this is something that students have all the materials in one place. And like I said, it opens directly from the ebook, as you just saw with the telenovela, which I think is just nice. They're not having to click all over the place. Right? The other thing is I wanted to create my own materials, and I wanted them all to live together. I wanted to be able to take it apart as I wanted to. I didn't want to have to go back to some course on Blackboard from 5 years ago and find something, right? It's all in one place for me and for the students. And I think that centrality makes it much more user-friendly as well. To the technology aspect of it, I used iBooks Author. I mentioned that is transitioning to Pages, and maybe one of our tech experts can tell me or tell us what that might mean in terms of the format. But there was a learning curve when I first started learning iBooks Author, for sure. Like I said, I had the FIT grant, so that really gave me a summer to work intensively on this technology, and that was with a lot of support, and that made all the difference. After that, though, once I got over that learning curve, it's been quite easy to keep up with, and like I said, to adjust as needed. I've provided it to the students via a Dropbox link because it is a large file, and that is something I then just post on the Blackboard course under course textbook. Click, they download the link, they download the book from the link. One drawback, or just something to be aware of, is that iBooks can only be viewed on Apple devices. So I did have a grant, our department had a grant to get iPads that were then on loan to the students every semester so they could view the ebook, and also they were able to use it for other courses as well, and then they returned at the end of the semester. So I will just say, make sure you have some kind of proper sign out sheet for that if you do go that route. That was also a little bit of a learning curve for me, and also just like with passwords and students not resetting the devices. But again, these are all things that can be solved by tech experts.